Today I'm going to talk about jazz form from the perspective of a two-measure phrase. Two measures is the basis of almost all jazz music, whether it's an 8-measure A section or a 32-measure tune. And so internalizing that two measures is really important to keep track of the form. Not so much as harmony, because you can have tunes that don't have much harmonic movement at all, like impressions, and people will stumble when to come in on that bridge section because they're not keeping track and feeling the length of that phrase of the A sections. So you also have players that have different harmonic concepts, like Ornette Coleman and Phil Woods. If you have them both play blues, yes, that's going to be a blues, but harmonically, that's not something that's going to be recognizable as the same thing. Now, when we have two measures, we have a left and a right. So we can always put this in the perspective of dance and movement. 1, 2. It's really simple. So let's explore how to exercise the two-measure phrase so that we're really strong in how we internalize the feel of two measures. Now, I'm going to take you through a couple different ways to practice that. But there is a piece that you can learn and perform that's written. It's considered like a classical repertoire piece, but it's really not classical music. It's a piece called Hot Sonata by Erwin Schulhoff. And he's a Czechoslovakian composer that wrote this piece in 1931 for Billy Barton, who is a jazz saxophonist and played in the hot jazz style of the 20s in Berlin. And so this is an interesting piece because it's really in the hot jazz style, which we really don't teach much. We don't learn much about that. And it's also the tresillo. It is strictly a two-measure phrase throughout the whole thing, piano and saxophone. So this is a really good piece to learn to internalize and learn that two-measure phrase using a tresillo rhythm, which is 1, 2, and 3, 4. Bum, gong, beam, bum, bum, beam. You might recognize this from some of the Latin music that's written, the habanero, the tango. You might recognize it from Scott Joplin in his Elite Syncopations and other pieces of his like that. You might recognize it from Sing, 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 boom, boom, dum, dum, dum. You might recognize it from the Charleston, dum, ding, ding, dum, 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 dum. You might recognize it from Elvis Presley, boom, doo, dee, dum, doo, dee, the bass line of Hound Dog. So in other words, the tresillo rhythm has been used throughout jazz and popular music. So it's something really familiar. It's something you will come across. Now, the way I use the tresillo into exercising is, one is a tresillo game. I like games. Sometimes people don't like exercises. Tresillo on one measure, improvise the second measure. Don't, 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 go. I can put that on the horn. Again, you just do the first measure, tresillo, the second measure, something you want. So we can also do this as an exercise. And I like exercises because they restrict us in certain ways to problem solve. And this problem would be tresillo in one measure and then a 3-note rhythm in the second measure. And to do it in a very systematic way. So there are 52 total numbers of rhythms using 3 notes in one measure, one of them being the tresillo. So you can combine them. Here's an example. Dum, 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 beaty, dum. Dum, 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 beaty, dum. Dee, gum. Dum, dum, beaty, gum, bing, ding. So you see that you can move that third note over, and then when it goes all the way to the end of the measure, you can do the second note, and you can move that over. Dum, 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 boom, dee, ding. Dum, 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 ba, dum, dim. Again, that third movement, third note goes over. Also, you can move that first one over. In other words, you just keep going through and it keeps working through that exercise. Now, I've put all of those rhythms on my website, saxcoach.org, and there's a link to that in the description here of this video, so you can download that. But I would encourage you to do this by constructing them in your head, because then you're also exercising how to construct phrases. And that's part of how we learn to improvise. So this could be a very nice exercise to not only internalize a two-measure phrase, but also practice all your rhythms. Some of them may not be as familiar to you as others, and also to construct the exercise as you go. So it's a three-win situation for you in doing the exercise. If you find yourself in a rhythm or combination that is less familiar, then loop it. Just keep doing it over and over until it gets comfortable. And remember to do this at a comfortable tempo, because there's always plenty of time to make it faster, and you'll learn quicker if you practice slower. So that's the Tro exercise. Now let's recap about the whole thing. The two-measure phrase is central to jazz form. When we internalize the two-measure phrase, we really help our sense of form. Also, there's a rhythm called the Tro rhythm that we can bring into our practice, either through a game or through an exercise, as well as this hot sonata by Schulhoff. That's a great piece to learn. Don't underestimate that. And do it in a comfortable way. Move, sing. You have a left and a right. I'm Steve Duke, and this is Sax Coach. Check out my other videos here. Like, subscribe. That would be nice. You can also go to my website, saxcoach.org, for a whole bunch of more material that you may find useful. Thanks for watching.